tell the listeners about Skillful. Give us, let's just say they've never heard of it. They're listening to this podcast and they're like, okay, well, what the heck is that? Give them the Skillful overview, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so what Skillful does is really thinks about, we work in local communities, but we look at America as a whole and say, where's our country going? Okay, we know 70% of America does not have a 4-year college degree. And that's okay. That's fine. It's fine. There's lots of ways to get education and skills that are not all a 4-year college degree. But that's sort of the base. And then we've got this environment where pre-COVID, by 2030, 1 in 3 people had to upskill or reskill to avoid persistently depressed wages. So we've got a need to provide training and access and opportunity to our country systematically. And we don't necessarily have the infrastructure to do that. And so a lot of what we do is test new things in local communities. And then what works, we scale rapidly. And so unfortunately, as you know, in workforce, it takes like a ton of words to say anything. Like at the zoo, I could be like, do you want to play with a baby lion? And they'd be like, yes. But workforce takes a little bit longer to explain, but it's really important to people's livelihoods. So what we do is we work with employers to help them hire based on skills. So an example is when you're hiring as a CEO, you might think, well, everyone surely had the same path I did. So I'll just say, you need all these credentials and proxies, and I'll put it all in the job description and I'll find the perfect person. But what that doesn't recognize is there's a lot of different ways people acquire skills. For example, if you're fixing cars in your neighbor's garage for the last 10 years, but you don't have a bachelor's in engineering, you might have the perfect skills I need to work in my shop. So how do we think about communicating what we need to find the talent for our business? So that we work with employers, and then we work with career coaches. So a lot of people aren't aware there's a lot of free career resources and coaches at workforce centers, at nonprofits, at higher ed institutions. And so people can go to these career coaches for free to help think through how do they think about the next step in their careers. And so what we do as a foundation is we work with all these big companies and big data and all this stuff to make sure those career coaches have the tools and resources they need to best advise someone how to connect to opportunity.
I see.
And then if that's not enough, we also work with educators to make sure we have employable graduates. So how do we focus a curriculum on the employability of graduates? And frankly, in that space, this is such an exciting time to think about reskilling or training, because we're seeing so many resources available for free right now. Like, you don't have to do the formal route if you don't want to. Like, an example in Colorado is contact tracer, right? We're going to have 2,000 more contact tracer jobs with COVID that are opening up, and they don't require a 4-year college degree. And you can go on Coursera's website right now, and you can just take that class for free and learn how to do it. And so when you apply to the job, you could put that you took that Coursera course right on the top of your resume, and have a leg up. And it didn't even cost you any money. And so I'm excited to see some of the new training that's coming out to help job seekers connect to opportunity faster.
And is Skillful, it's funded all by donations, or do the companies pay you something to get connected to the candidates that are retrained, to the career coaches? What's the business model?
What's the business model? Yeah, so we're a private foundation. And so at the core, we're a private foundation. So we'll give out grants, and we're self-funded. That being said, we do take donations. Microsoft gave us a very generous donation, also Walmart. everything that we do and share is free for the job seeker. And in most cases, we're empowering a system that already exists for the job seeker. For example, like a lot of people don't know what workforce centers are, but they're these places that you can go and get free help with your resume. They have access to the best jobs and tools. And, it's an easy way to go explore what might be next.
There's got to be people that will listen to this and go, "Hold on a minute. You're telling me that you're telling me that I can get free resume help, free career coaching. Maybe I didn't go to school, but you can help me get a very good job and show me the right, and I don't have to pay you anything." I mean, that's
Exactly. And so sometimes that's why I want to share it. And so what do you Google? You Google wherever you live and the word workforce center. That's the first thing you could do. And it's free. So,
wow.
and in a lot of cases, a lot of the workforce centers now will do virtual consults too, if you're not comfortable going into a location. So,
Okay.
and their success is measured on their ability to get you a job while they're helping you for free.
I see. Okay. You know, something that I thought about when I was studying you and looking up Skillful, I was interviewing somebody from the robotics space about 6 months ago, a couple of people, matter of fact. And, we talked about, hey, what's going to happen? More robots, people that have all these skills get unemployed. What happens to the workforce? Um, Boy, you guys might be, you might be pretty busy retraining people in the next 10, 15, 20 years as things move along, right? As more jobs are eliminated and people have to change their skill set. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the first thing is people need to recognize there's a lot of transferable skills. So
Mm,
you have so much talent already, you might not have to go back for training is number one, right?
mm,
So like an example, you said robotics. One of the fun examples of a person we worked with is a company that was hiring people to do fiber optics, these tiny little motions with their hands they had to do and place things. it's a
uh-huh.
good it's a good job, and we helped them fix the job description to be skills based. And so they talked about that motion that they have to do with their hands and the robotics and the little optics, and they actually ended up hiring a sushi chef because the sushi chef had all the exact same fine motor skills that they needed for the job. And so
Interesting.
I think the first answer is really think about the skills that you've acquired and how they might be transferable to a different industry or a different job. For
Ooh,
example, I didn't have any experience with animals before I got the zoo job, but that wasn't what the zoo needed. They needed someone that understood strategy and finance and skills that I had gotten at Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers. That being said, if you do feel that you need training or upskilling, I think we live in a world now where you can do that more surgically. Like you can say, I don't need to go be a doctor of everything. If I think about where I want to go, there might be a shorter, non-traditional way that I can get that training for cheaper. And so I would encourage the job seeker to navigate a lot of the resources that are out there in that space. And one of the things that I always look for is how is the curriculum aligned to employability? Like has the person that is teaching the training thought about the job you're going to have in the future? And if
mm,
they haven't, that might not be the best program.
very good. Okay, very good. Let me ask you this. So it's not just for people that didn't go to school. This is not just, I want to kind of emphasize that right here. If you go to Skillful and you go to the website, it's not just for people that didn't have a chance to get a degree. It's for all kinds of, like you said, retraining or career help. It doesn't, it's not just for that non-degreed person. Is that accurate? Is that right? Oh, did I hang up?
Yeah, absolutely accurate. Because even getting a degree, you're not one and done. That's not the way this economy works now. It's lifelong learning, right? And so you're enhancing your skills as you grow and as you learn. And sometimes you're doing that on the job, and sometimes you're doing that through training programs at different points in your life.
What do you think about these people saying, "Oh, you don't need a degree anymore. You can Google everything, and you don't, school's is not the investment it used to be." What are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of bachelor's and higher level programs do show an ROI. I'm excited for the job seeker. I'm a return on investment. I do think now states are making more of that data public. So if you are making that type of investment as a job seeker, why not go look at how much money did the students make that left afterwards? I think consumers can make smarter decisions now around which paths they take. And I think, for me, I've got my bachelor's in physics, my bachelor's in math, my master's in physics. I'm finishing my doctorate in computer science. I love learning, so that was the right path for me. And so I think it's more about, as a CEO or an executive, when I'm hiring, I don't need to find me, right? I need to find the person that can best do the job. And if I'm trying to find the person that can best do the job, I have to realize there's a lot of different pathways to help to get you there. And so I think, our society, sometimes we look at the 4-year degree and we say, well, that's grit and that's determination. And that's why I put that on there. And I think when people are taking it off, it's a bit of a recognition of, hey, that is grit and determination, but maybe there's other ways to show that too. And maybe if that's what I really care about, I should just say that and then let the job seeker prove to me how they demonstrated that. So it's not anti-degree by any means. It's more just bringing dignity and respect to the different ways that people acquire skills throughout their life.
The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit Riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.